What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Rise Podcast. Today, we're talking about the 6 different pillars that you need to build into your business if you want to make more than $100,000 a year as a creative. And it's not just if you want to crack 100 grand. It's also if you want to be able to do it consistently and repeat it. Maybe you're listening to the show today and you're like, you just did 95 last year, or you did 105, or you did 125, but you have no idea how you're actually going to repeat it. That is the problem that hopefully we can help you solve today. And if you're newer and you're only doing 15 or 20 grand a year or 40 grand a year, learning how to actually install these 6 pillars into your business is going to be super, super foundational for you. So the goal is with this episode is that you're actually going to be able to listen to this through. And ideally at the end of the show today, you're going to have a really good understanding of what pillars you're doing well and what pillars you need to really double down on getting built, getting optimized, and getting really installed into your business for 2025 if you want to have a great year. So these pillars are all things that you and I both now have. We did $108,000. We just posted a video about that in the first 40 days of 2025. And
in our
that would
content
not
agency.
in our content agency, selling photo, video, and brand strategy packages. If you haven't watched that video, I'll put it in the description of the pod. Make sure you go watch it. It's actually picking up a ton of traction on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on YouTube.
Shout out to all the nice people that comment on YouTube.
Yeah, there's been some really great comments on YouTube.
Nice people on YouTube. I mean, there's also mean people, but there's just a lot of nice people on YouTube.
Yeah, it's been really fun to kind of get more into the YouTube space. So great to hang over there. But we just launched that video and none of that would have happened. We would not have made 6 figures in 40 days to start 2025 if we did not have these 6 pillars as optimized as possible. Yeah. So we're going to break that down today.
And every creative that has gone through our masterminds that we are just in contact with that have come and hit 6 figures, they do these 6 things. Like they have mastered these six things. And it's really cool to watch. Like we've had so many 6-figure business owners in Creative Rise come out through the mastermind and go on to make 6 figures, multiple 6 figures. We were just in the desert with a bunch of them who are hitting like over 300K in their creative businesses. And they thought, they never would have thought they would have done that, right? So it's really amazing. These 6 pillars really do make such a difference in your business. And if you're listening to these 6 pillars and you're going, man, I need all 6 of these, or like I'm doing well in my business, but I know I'm like
I'm doing
in
well
a couple
in 3
of the areas,
4 of them,
I'm like totally not. Like I could totally use some growth in that area. We literally have a program that runs through these 6 pillars over 6 weeks in a community format with us. It's called the Creative Rise Mastermind. It's a 6-week Creative Rise Mastermind. Our next one's coming March 16th, which is so exciting. We've already filled 25 of like the 30-ish spots. So there's really not a lot of spots left, but the application deadline is this Sunday, March 9th. So if you are a service-based creative, whether you're in the wedding space, the brand space, you're a social media manager, you own a content agency, either you're just starting or you're already hitting 6 figures, this is meant for you. It's all about the business side, none of the creative side, because you're already good at that. This is the business side, which is most people don't love. So we help you love it by going over these 6 things.
So link in the description. Make sure you run over to that application. Let us know about your business, and we're going to look into your business and figure out which pillars you do need, and then jump on into the mastermind. We're going to help you build those out over the next 6 weeks. And the best part is it's not just getting the content. Content's one thing. We're actually going to give you a lot of the content that's in the mastermind today. Now, obviously in the mastermind, it's to a depth way deeper than what we're going to be able to cover in the next whatever many minutes in this podcast today. But the best part about the mastermind is that you're actually getting hands-on advice and implementation structure to actually be able to implement things. Learning something from a video or from a podcast is one thing, but then you get confused in how it actually is contextualized to you. The best part about the mastermind and why there's been over 100 people hit 6 figures in the last couple of years that have gone through this in their own businesses is because we actually, Christy and I actually get our hands on your business with you. We get to know you, become friends, and we actually get our hands in your business so that you can start implementing these things because you have context on how they apply to you. So these are the 6 pillars. We're about to break them down, but before we jump in, it's also been a really fun last couple of weeks with the mastermind launch and me getting to meet so many other people. It's been so many applications already, super fun to go through. And we had over 300 people on the 10K per month creator workshop a couple weeks ago, or like a week ago.
If you were on there, shout out to you.
So shout out to you guys. If you want to watch that recording, it will also be in the description of the show. But let's get into the 6 pillars that build a $100,000 per year plus business, and it does it consistently if you actually master these things. So number 1 if you want to do over 6 figures a year and do it consistently as a photographer, filmmaker, or social media manager, you have to learn how to dial in a clear, repeatable, scalable offer. So building a 6-figure offer is what we call it. And you need to figure that out, because no matter how good you get at marketing, if your offer actually sucks, you'll never be able to market a bad product, service, or offer into a place where your business is performing. You just can't. I could probably say I've done that before in the really early stages of my business, where I wasn't actually selling great outcomes. I wasn't able to execute and get people great outcomes when I was like 14. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was starting. But I actually was decent at like talking about it and getting other people to want to potentially work with me. But you quickly learn you cannot market a bad service or a bad offer selling bad outcomes to a place where it actually becomes a thriving business. You just can't. So a couple things you need to understand about building a really good offer, and this is the first thing I want you to audit in your head as you're listening to me say this, is that 6-figure businesses are not just selling services, they are selling outcomes. We talk about this all the time here at Creative Rise. But if you're not really sure what the outcomes you're helping somebody achieve or things you're helping them avoid when they work with you, if you're not sure what those are, whether it's in the wedding space and it's bride and grooms or whatever, or it's in the brand space, it's businesses or brands, if you're not sure what those outcomes that they are actually getting when they get to work with you are, you need to figure those out, because that is what people are buying. And once you figure that out, it becomes a whole lot easier to build that offer to be even better and more optimized to make it better. And so a couple ways you can do that. The best offers in the world are 3 things here. Okay. Number 1, they got to be clear, super clear on who you're selling to and how it actually helps them. Who are you selling to, and how does your offer actually help them avoid pain or achieve some type of opportunity they're going after in life, right? Number 2, it's got to be high value. If you're selling something that's the same as everybody else in your town, odds are you're not going to stand out, and you are not going to be seen as the person that everybody wants to come to. So you got to figure out how to make your offers really, really high value. You want to impact your clients a ton, right? In the wedding space or in the brand space. And number 3, it's got to be an easy process. It's got to be an easy process for someone to say, I want that. And then they can actually buy from you. They can pay you. Like the whole part of that sales process is going to be easy. We're going to talk about that later on the show. But most importantly, you also have to have a very easy process on how you actually get people to the outcomes they want. So many times we meet photographers or filmmakers, and like we even in the YouTube comments this last week when I've been going through and answering some comments, people saying you guys had $8,000 in the last 40 days, and you're selling photo campaigns for like $12,000 for a photo campaign. Like, who in the world is selling $12,000 photo campaigns? What's a part of that? Well, it's not just, we just rock up and go, oh, hey, client, what do you want us to shoot? Like, what are we doing? No, we're producing the whole thing. We're handling all the permits, models, mood boards, shot lists, creating everything day of, editing everything, post, like it's a whole experience, right? Our process is something that people can trust. Therefore, it is a scalable 6-figure offer. So those are the 3 things. Again, it's got to be clear who it's for and how it helps them. Number 2, it's got to be high value. And number 3, it's got to have a really easy onboarding process and a really easy process a client can trust, because people love to trust your plan and how it's going to get them what they want. Yeah. Very important.
Number 2, so important, is pricing your offers. If you want to hit a 6-figure run rate in your business, you got to learn how to price strategically, intentionally, and confidently. I know the confidently part of pricing may be very foreign to you when you think about pricing and charging clients for your offers, but it's so important that you build that muscle. We literally call pricing a muscle in Creative Rise. Like, it is something where the more reps you get with it, the stronger it gets and the more confident you feel around it. So people undercharging, people going, well, let me just I'm just going to cut the price by like 50% because I just really want them to say yes. Like, getting out of that mindset and going, okay, I'm not charging. I'm not selling myself. I'm not charging hourly. I'm charging on value. So I'm actually charging based on the results they are going to get, the return on investment that they make, rather than just, hey, you're renting out my time and I've got a camera and I'm showing up, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to always lead you to undercharging, because the value is in the outcome. The value is not what happens with you showing up with a camera,
and
right?
Real quick, if you're struggling with your pricing, it's probably because of number 1, which is you don't actually have a very good offer. Therefore, you're not sure of what the outcomes and what the value is. Or maybe you have
a good offer, you just don't know how to communicate that to a client.
But if you are struggling with pricing, that might be something to ask yourself is my offer truly good? Because if it's not, it's very hard to price it in a way where it's going to be motivating for you to want to go sell and for you to make more money with, because you don't know what the value is for the client, right?
And you might be sitting there going, okay, but I have tried pricing higher before and I just get ghosted by everybody. There's no market for this or whatever. And people always want to lowball you. That happens if you're a reactive business. If you are constantly waiting for people to come through the door and then you just price those people, that's going to happen every single time. There are premium clients out there. It's just you got to do premium things to get the premium clients. So when it comes to pricing your offers, figuring out the value of it, and then going out and finding those clients, it is possible. We've seen person after person do that, go from lower end, lower ticket into higher end, high ticket. And the things they did to attract and chase clients in the low ticket are very different than what they do when they're attracting and chasing high ticket clients. Look at Rebecca Soto. She's now doing starting at 10K prices, and she was getting ghosted when she was charging $3,000 for a wedding. So it's just a big mindset shift that's so important.
Yeah, Mastermind grad, had her on the podcast last week. If you haven't listened to that podcast episode, go do it. She's literally starting at $10,000 for her wedding prices. It's incredible. So that is number 2. Number 3, you got to figure out how you're going to brand those offers. Once you've created a really good offer, you've then priced it in a way where it is attractive, yet it's also something that is going to be beneficial for your business. You then got to figure out how to actually brand this, right? Pricing is branding, and branding is how you position yourself. So if you also go back to last week's episode and listen to it, you'll hear us talk about branding so much, and how your brand and how you position yourself really, really sets the taste to who you are in your client's mouth. And that is going to determine a lot about how they view you, and how you are viewed is how someone's going to end up wanting to do business with you. So a couple of things that creatives that are hitting 6 figures do really well in the brand space. They've got a really, really clear voice. They know who they're talking to. They know how they want to talk to that ideal client. They've got a clear story about what they help that ideal client accomplish. So like, here's the problems I know you struggle with. Here's what I can do about it. And here's the results you're going to get. They've got that dialed down, and then they just are super consistent with it. Their brand is not something that got launched and then never got posted on again. It's something that whether you go to their website, whether you go to their socials, whether you go to anything, like any other place that they might be living or existing, there's cohesiveness to that, and they're showing up all the time. So that is a very important part. Number 3 is how you brand those offers. People do not buy the best products, services. They don't hire the best, most talented creative. They buy the ones they know of, and they buy the ones they pay for the creatives to work with, for the ones that they know of the most and they trust, right? Whether it's in the wedding space or it's in the brand space, how you position yourself as a brand is incredibly important.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to that.
And number 4 is marketing those offers. This is our beefiest week of the Mastermind of content wise. It's so good because here's the thing, you guys. It's not the best creatives that get the most work. It's the best known creatives that get the most work. And that doesn't necessarily mean like followers or anything like that. There's a lot of proactive things to do in the marketing sphere of your business. And this is like the lifeblood of businesses, because your business isn't struggling right now because you suck at the creative side, right? It's just because no one knows you exist. Yeah. And no one knows what offers that you're selling. No one knows that they can work with you, that you're open for business. So 3 ways to fix your marketing today, and these are things that we deeply cover this week in the Mastermind, is number 1, build your sales funnel. How do you take cold audiences and walk them through a sales process, warm them up, nurture them so that they say yes to your sale? There's a system. If the first thing that comes out of your mouth when you talk to a cold client is pay me $4,000, probably not going to work out very well for you.
This is probably the biggest thing that we see Mastermind grads that do go to 6 figures, and especially the multi-6-figure people that are doing $250,000, $300,000 a year that have been through the Mastermind. This is the biggest thing they get right. After they get their offers right and the pricing on them, this is the next thing they get right, is they build a really, really good sales funnel. Because as Christy said, people don't know who you are, or they don't know what you're selling and how it's going to help them, whether it's in the wedding space or in the brand space. You're a fish out of water.
Absolutely. Really absolutely. And then show up where your clients are. Go and find your client. First of all, find out where they actually hang out, right? The people that are trying to hire you, that want to hire, that need your solution, where do those people hang out, and how do you go to them? And not just go to them and pitch them, but how do you actually go to them and give them value before you ever even give and ask? That's so important. And then lastly, market results, not just your services, right? You want to market the outcomes. You make it about them. You don't make it about yourself and how talented you are.
Marketing is not about you. It's about your client, your ideal client, right?
It's about your client. So shifting that mindset, going into, hey, how do I market outcomes and results rather than just what I offer as a service?
So true. Number 5 is learning how to actually sell the offers that you've now priced. You've created them really to be really solid. You've then priced them. You've then branded them. You've now started to market them. And number 5 is you now have to get to the point where you got to sell them, right?
Yes.
Which is the thing. It's probably the bane of the most creatives' existence. If you think about the one thing that is the most challenging for most creatives, photographers, filmmakers, and social media managers, it is learning how to actually sell yourself. And this is the problem. You don't have to sell yourself. You have to sell what you can do and how it helps somebody solve a problem, avoid pain, or gain some type of outcome they want, right?
Yeah.
So this is the biggest switch that you got to make. And there's 4 steps to really making sales simpler for you. And take some notes on this as I say this, or pause the podcast and think about this, pause the video and think about this. But inside of the mastermind, we actually give you like full sales systems, scripts for calls, sales call plans. We give you all that stuff, but it kind of encompasses these 4 things. And if you can get these 4 things, you're going to be in a better spot. So number 1, in order to get better at sales, you have to be so crystal clear on what your ideal client wants. If you do not understand that, nor do you have questions and a strategy on a call to figure out how to get into that conversation where you can understand that, you're not going to be in a good position. So number 1, you got to figure out what your ideal client wants. Number 2, you got to learn how to then position yourself and your offer to be the stepping stone to help them get what they want. Whether you're in the wedding space or in the brand space, it's the same thing. You got to learn how to position your wedding packages or your brand strategy stuff or your photo video packages or your new campaign or your social media management packages. You got to figure out how to position those as the stepping stone to help your ideal client go from point A to point B. That is super, super crucial. You need a plan to do that. Number 3, you got to figure out then how to overcome their objections. So getting them to that spot might be great. You might be able to get them there, but they might say, well, it's too expensive, or I got sticker shock when I looked at your pricing, or I don't know if you can do it quick enough for me. I don't know if I can trust you. I've worked with someone in the past that looked like you had a similar style to what you're doing, and it didn't work for me. Like learning then how to deal with those objections is really, really what's going to help you make money in the sales process. Getting better at that is so important. And that's a muscle. Just like pricing, learning how to deal with sales objections is a muscle. You got to get some good strategies to do it. And then you got to learn how to put in the reps. One of our favorite parts about the mastermind is we put in these reps. We do mock sales calls sometimes, right? Where we'll get people on a Zoom call and people will start pitching to each other and doing sales calls. And we get to tell each other and help figure things out. Hey, here's where you did well. Here's where you could probably use a little bit more strategy, or you need to rethink that line or rethink how you took the flow of the conversation that way. So figuring that out is super important. And last but not least, number 4 is you got to learn how to make a yes really easy in the sales process, where it's clear pricing, simple contract, it's a clear next step. Say, here's the next couple steps to get started. Let's get going on it. So if you can do all 4 of those things, sales gets a lot easier. So very important. You will not get to the point where you are doing 6 figures and staying there consistently until you figured out how to sell well. It's not the reason why you got into business, but it's going to keep you in business, which is really important.
Absolutely. And the 6th and final pillar is scaling without burning out. You don't create a job for freedom and then you end up creating a prison for yourself, right? And that happens when you build something, you hustle out, but you do not build systems in order to sustain the growth. And we see this a lot when people just like hustle for 6 figures, they hit it, and then they're swamped in like fulfillment. They're swamped when it comes to pitching. They're swamped when it comes to editing. They're swamped in all these areas. And the problem is they built a ship that they didn't actually create the systems to be able to run it, right? And they're getting run over by their own ship, which we hate to see. They had to walk the plank because they didn't build the systems. And so systems will help you keep you from burning out. And that includes building teams. That includes doing all these other things. Why don't you give the 4 leverage points?
Yeah, there's 4 systems that you need to create. And if you don't figure out how to create these systems, you will be a slave to your business. And more importantly, you're always going to feel like you're pushing a rock uphill and you're going to get burned out. Number 1, you got to create a clear offer and pricing system. No shock there. Number 2, you got to create a very clear marketing, a smooth lead generation system where you constantly have new people coming into your ecosystem, whether it's your socials, whether it's your website, whether it's coming up to you in person saying, I want to work with you. That is very important. You got to figure out how to do that. Number 3 is learning how to actually build a sales system that you feel confident in so you can sell on all that new marketing and all those new leads that are coming in. And number 4, last but not least, you got to have really good fulfillment systems. If you do not know how to fulfill what you are selling to the point where people are just raving about it and they want to tell their friends about how great you were at shooting their wedding or rebranding their company or shooting a new photo and video campaign for them or running their social media, if you don't have good fulfillment systems, you will not be able to get the outcomes that your clients want.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the outcomes your clients want, you have a bad offer, right? And there's no way you can market, as you said earlier in the podcast, there's no way you can market a bad offer to the place where all of a sudden your business is thriving. So those are the 4 things that we would attest to be the most important aspects of scaling a business. And if you figure out those things and you build systems around it, you're going to have a much better chance at not burning out.
Yeah,
right? Very
absolutely.
important.
So those are the 6 pillars. These are the 6 pillars that we walk all of the people that join our mastermind through in a 6-week process. And what's cool about it is that we don't just go, hey, here's 6 weeks worth of content, just have at it.
Go
and
figure
you guys
it out.
go figure it out by yourselves and just let us know when you have questions. It's like a full-on boot camp experience where week by week, we take the content from that week, drip it each Monday, and everyone's going through the exact same modules every single week. We're talking about what we're learning. We're honing in our offers. It's all about implementation in the mastermind. It's not about like university school where you just go and sit and learn for 4 years and then you finally go make a move afterwards. We're making moves literally day 0 of the mastermind, which is why people are getting such insane results. So we highlight all these things and we really dig into it with people, which is really fun. But we have some frequently asked questions that people who are considering jumping into the mastermind always ask every round, and some of our most popular questions. So we just want to take a stab at a few of those real quick. So Joey, who is this for? Who is the mastermind for? How many people are accepted? Do I have to be making a certain amount of money?
Been for the last 6 years, almost 6 years, started in August 2019. It's been innovated ever since. So coming up on 6 years, it has always been for photographers, filmmakers, and social media managers in the wedding space or in the brand space. And we are designed to help you really, really thrive. That's been our track record over the last 5.5 years. And why? Is because, well, that's what we are. And that's what we've been building. We've been building businesses in this space for the last, put together, almost 21 years, if you put Christy and I's careers together. And so that's who it's for. It's for people that are looking to build to the 6-figure mark and sustainably stay there and maybe even push towards the multiple 6-figure mark. And so if you're already doing 80K, this is for you. If you're already doing 115, but you don't feel as certain about it as you should, this is also for you. If you're doing 15, this is also for you. If you're not even started yet, but you know that you are wanting to go from 0 to 100 way quicker than if you didn't do this, so this is also for you. We've had people all over that spectrum. And how many people do we take? Well, we take 30 to 35 businesses every year, depending on kind of how the group's feeling. The most important thing to Christy and I is making sure that the group feels like it is full. And that's a hard thing to describe, but I mean like where it feels really rounded out. There's the right people from the right places and the right industries, and there's enough people in there where it's going to feel like there's the right amount of support, the right amount of like camaraderie and excitement. So it always ends up being 30 businesses to 35 businesses, but we do not take more than that. And the reason for that is because if we take more than that, we cannot fulfill our promise to you, which is that we are going to get our hands in your business and actually help you build and help you scale. And so it's important that you get that time and that focus from us. And so we take a max of 35 businesses.
Yeah. Another question people ask is, hey, I'm nervous about spending the money. Like this is the first time I've ever like invested this much money in my business. For context, the mastermind is about the same price as a lot of camera bodies.
It's $3,000 or
$3,000.
Just cheaper than that if you do the pay in full, but it's $3,000 on the payment plan, which is actually less expensive than most cameras. It's less expensive than every camera we own.
2,797 pay in full. And then we've got a payment plan where you can split it up in 3 payments. So first of all, I want to say, I totally understand that. Joey and I have been in our own places at different times of growing our businesses where we're like, oh my gosh, do we really drop that money on this, education or this thing or whatever? And I think what you really got to sit down and think about is what is the ROI? What is the return on investment if I do something like this? So what am I choosing currently to spend my money on? Like right now, whatever it is in your life, we would just challenge you to go, hey, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you operate your business the exact same way for the next 12 months, are you going to have different results at the end of this 12 months? Or do you kind of feel like, ooh, I have like the scary suspicion I'm going to be the exact same place 12 months from now if I do nothing about it, if I change nothing about it? So it doesn't have to be this, but I would just encourage you, find something, invest in something that's going to give you an ROI. And that's why we have done our best stab at the things that create the biggest ROIs in business. Like, that's why we're not talking about lighting. That's not why we're talking about which camera to get. That's not why we're talking about those different things, because we believe these things, these business pillars, actually create income for you. So we've had people, person after person, come in and make their investment back within the first 2 weeks of the mastermind.
Yeah, well, and that's the design, right?
That's our design.
We're designed to do that. This should not be something ideally that costs you money. Ideally, you're learning how to make it back, and you are making it back as soon as you can. I just posted this morning, actually, on our stories on Instagram, because we got a couple of messages this morning from our grad community of people going, it was kind of a fun thing. A bunch of them started posting what they made in 2024 for January and February versus what they made in 2025 for January and February. These are people that went through the last mastermind in October. So it hasn't even been a year. It's been 5-6 months. And quick shout out to Hunter and Michaela from Sweet Spot. They're on the podcast a couple weeks ago. They went from making Q1 2024 $12,225 in 2 months, which is not bad. That's $6,000, $6,100 a month. And now, Q1 of 2025, they made $44,037. That is a 260% increase. What would be the lost ROI on the fact that if they would not have jumped on into the mastermind last year, would they have grown their businesses? Yeah, they would have grown their business. I'm sure they're great. They're super talented. Yeah. Would they have grown it that much? In their words, no. They talked about it a couple weeks ago on the podcast. Next one. This is awesome. This is Liv from Alberta. She's awesome. Alberta, Canada. She's an elopement photographer. In January and February 2024, she did $2,282. January and February of 2025, an exact year later, the same 2 months, she did an increase in 672%. She did $17,620. I mean, that's a massive, massive increase. And she learned and stacked skills, fixed these pillars in her business that we've been talking about on the show. And because of that, she went up 672%, which is wild. This one's crazy. Shout out to John Callahan, based in Montana.
Shout out.
Last year, he was just getting started in January and February. He did $856. That's literally when he just got started.
And his words, I talked to him today on our community call. He's like, and I was stoked for that $400 deal that happened twice. Yeah. He's like, I was stoked. And I was like, absolutely.
An exact year later, the same dude, John Callahan Projects, did $15,350. Woo. An exact year later for January and February, because he figured out these 6 pillars and has started to really implement them. Actually, this is crazy. That was a 1,692% increase on last year. That's crazy. He could have missed out on that, right? And last but not least, let's highlight one more here. Ross, great dude, based in Colorado. Last year, January, February 2024, he did $3,700. This year, January and February 2024, he did $15,800, which is a 327% increase. So guys, the question is, I'm nervous to spend the money. You gotta think about, is this a good investment for me? You should always think about that when you're thinking about spending your hard-earned money. But you also have to think about, what's the opportunity cost? If I don't do this, I don't learn how to get those 6 pillars dialed in my business, am I going to be missing out on hundreds of % of increase, just like all these other people that we just mentioned?
Can you afford not to? Is our question. Which
is very important. Christy, real quick, what's a schedule/time commitment look like? People,
Absolutely.
One of the questions we get a lot is, hey, I'm a mom, or, I've just got other stuff going on. Maybe I'm already really strapped down on my business. Maybe you already have another job and you're trying to quit that job. What's the schedule/time commitment look like?
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time.
So we built this for the busy business owner. We've got people in this round who are already making over 6 figures, 150K. These people are busy. They're busy fulfilling things. We've got people that are just starting, that have a full-time job. We've designed this to be as focused as possible so that you can get the max ROI with not the smallest amount of time, because it takes hard work and it takes focus and attention, but in a really focused way. So how it works is we've got coaching, community, and accountability. So those are our 3 kind of pillars of how we operate this mastermind. So every Monday, you get dripped the modules. And like I said, they're released week by week, so we're all going through it at the same time. So Monday, 9 a.m. PST, you are dripped the modules for the week. You get to go through those at any time that you want. We make sure that those are condensed modules. It's not like compact. Us sitting around talking for 2 hours per module. It's we workshop it compact, and then you get to go through it. And so those things shouldn't take you more than an hour or 2 each week to get through those. You can go through those at your own time. Then every Thursday, We have a call at 4:30 p.m. PST. We ask for about an hour and a half of your time to stay on and be super focused. And that's not like, hey, show up on the call and like ask a question and raise your hand and wait for your turn.
40 minutes.
This is like a full-on community learning workshop. So it's going to be, we all jump on, we talk about our wins. We're like a very supportive, non-gatekeeping community. So people will share their wins, what they're making, what they're doing, all of that kind of stuff. We start off with wins and then we jump into what we were learning that week. Joey and I will teach on something. We're going to share about it. We're going to do workshopping. We're going to do breakout groups.
Split you up, lots of interaction.
And then we end with Q&A. It's an awesome call. So that's every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. PST. And then we also have accountability pods. We'll match you with 2 other people in the community that we are going to go, hey, you guys keep each other accountable for the 6 weeks. And those are absolutely incredible. People become best friends. They travel the world together. It's so cool. And then we also have an Instagram group chat that fires 24/7. That is an awesome way to connect with people. We also have access to an app, our personal Creative Rise app that you will go and you'll have your own community area for round 13 where you can drop in questions and it's like thread format, which is cool. So you never like lose your answer in a chat or anything like that. So it's
And most
incredible.
importantly, to wrap all that up, week 1, Christy and I will meet with you and you'll have a private strategy 20-minute session with us and your pod. You get 20 minutes, your next pod member gets 20 minutes, your next pod member gets 20 minutes.
Yep.
And we're going to be figuring out your offers, figuring out your pricing, figuring out all of the bottlenecks you have in order for you to build the best 6-figure business foundation you can over the next 6 weeks. We can't wait for that. Those are some of our favorite parts of the mastermind. So it is designed for the person that's busy, but it is designed to take the busy person. Everyone's busy. There's no one that's not busy. Out of the 25 people that have already jumped in, they're all busy. Whether they're working a job, whether they're already grinding on this, whatever it is, whether they got kids, humans are just busy. So if you're busy, that's you're not an outlier for that. A lot of people go, well, I'm busy. I don't know if this is going to work for me. I'm like, well, I'm busy. You know, like we have to carve time out in our schedules to do this as well. We you guys just saw a couple weeks ago, we've had a really busy start to the new year, right? We're running our own content agency still. Christy's still shooting. You're actually picking up more weddings, which is fun. You're starting to bring that back, which is really fun. Shooting more couples again. Like we've got stuff going on. The whole point of this is to go, how do we get you the biggest impact in the least amount of time, but with the best community, the best accountability, and we'll all come out the other side friends, and you'll come out with a better business, which is awesome. So if you're listening to the show and you're like, hey, this is for me, I want one of those last like 5 to 7 spots, you got to go to creativerise.com right now, click on one of those apply buttons and fill out an application. Fill out a good application. Don't waste time on it. I mean, don't like put it aside and be like, oh, I'm going to do that later tonight because I want it to be really, really good. Give us a quick application, but make sure you get some good answers in there. And we can't wait to chat with you. Inside of the application will be a spot to book a call with us. It's not a sales call. It's not a commitment like, oh, we force you to make a big commitment. It's simply for us actually to figure out if this is a good fit for you. We want to sit down with you and look at it together and go, is this a good fit for you or is it not? And we tell lots of people over the last 5-6 years of doing this that it's maybe not the right fit. And we'll give you some direction if it's not. So we'll be very honest with you about that. But if it is the right fit and if it is going to really help you, we'll also make that really, really clear. So really excited about that. If you have any questions and maybe you want to ask a question or two before you even apply, go ahead and do that. Hit us up on Instagram at Creative Rise. Hit us up in the DMs. We'd love to chat with you about that. Because again, we don't want 3 weeks from now to be getting a DM from you saying, oh my gosh, like, can I jump in? I know it's already started. I'm so sad. I should have done it. I have regrets. We don't want that to be you.
No, don't let that be you. So get your application in before Sunday, and we can't wait to see it. We can't wait to chat with you, and we'd love to have you be a part of round 13.
Yeah, round 13 is going to go off. It's going to be fun. So guys, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for listening.
Whether you're applying for the mastermind or not, make sure you think about these 6 pillars, and you really make sure whether you're coming on into the mastermind, we're going to help you speed up this process of dialing in and optimizing these 6 pillars. Awesome. If you're going to figure out how to do it on your own, best of luck. We really, really want to encourage you in that process. But make sure whatever you do, you get these 6 pillars dialed on in. And that's going to really help you go on to build a 6-figure business that's not only hitting $100,000 plus per year, but also it's something you can repeat, which is really cool. So guys, we'll catch you next week. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you soon.